What if the quiet storm of unspoken affection, that electric tang of anticipation on your lips, like the ozone before rain unleashes its fury, demanded not a deluge of words, but the courage to weather the vulnerability of budding bonds amid life's chaotic gales? Feel the humid press of a summer classroom, the faint scent of chalk dust mingling with the promise of freedom's horizon, a symphony of pencils scratching like distant lightning cracks. Episode 10 of The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, aired on September 7, 2025, surges into the series' arc of self-discovery and connection, where rival schools' divides dissolve into shared tempests of youth, echoing the resilient gatherings of post-war communities, hearts finding solace not in grand pacts, but in the simple rhythm of studying side by side. This chapter doesn't rage like a typhoon. It brews subtly, drawing me into its humid embrace, where identities flicker in the storm's light, leaving a charged air of empathy that lingers like humidity on skin. You've braved such squalls, haven't you? That charged moment in a crowded study hall, where glances across tables bridge unspoken divides, stirring echoes of your own concealed longings. Episode 10 withholds the lightning's full strike, teasing flashes that illuminate just enough, not revealing the tempest's core, but igniting the insatiable pull to stand in the rain yourself, to feel the drops trace truths you dare not name. What if your next heartbeat syncs with the storm's unspoken confession, building on Episode 9's rainy revelations, where vulnerabilities surface like petals in a puddle, forging deeper ties amid familial warmth? This installment cascades into the high-stakes swirl of exam season, where a spontaneous study gathering evolves into a haven of laughter and support. Without charting every thunderclap, pivotal swells include a chaotic yet fruitful session that tests bonds, triumphs over academic tempests, and a leisurely outing that sparks candid exchanges, all while hinting at summer's liberating shores. Transitions rumble like approaching thunder, from collective frenzy to intimate rumbles, propelling the romance toward warmer climes. Imagine yourself crammed at a diner booth, steam rising from greasy plates like olive branches in historic truces, the air buzzing with quips that mask deeper currents, your own hesitations melting in the group's electric glow. It's the charged armistice of youthful alliances, akin to Cold War thaw moments where foes shared secrets over coffee, each laugh eroding isolation. Yet suspense crackles in the ozone. How does one fleeting spark redefine guarded hearts? What affections brew beneath the banter's veil? The episode thunders onward with purposeful intensity, a conduit through emotional clouds, awakening that profound urge, not unveiling the horizon, but kindling the storm chaser in you, to savor the lightning's fleeting grace. Episode 10 electrifies the narrative's ascent, transforming the introspective drizzles of prior chapters into a vibrant squall of group synergy that fortifies friendships while priming romantic undercurrents for summer's bloom. Revelations strike in subtle bolts, backstories and affections illuminated amid everyday chaos. No cataclysmic twists, but a poignant surge where academic hurdles catalyze emotional clarity, culminating in a cliffhanger of tentative horizons dangled like rain-heavy clouds. Pacing rumbles like a building gale, deliberate builds in communal frenzy balanced by introspective lulls, dramatic equilibrium favoring heartfelt levity without sacrificing tension's electric hum. Fans often thunder over cloudy aspects, such as the abrupt cohesion of the mixed-gender group or the specificity of a single triggering word that unravels a character's composure. Does the rapid thaw feel earned, or does it shortcut deeper conflicts? Delving into the manga, Keru Hana Warin to Saku chapters 23 to 27, serialized in magazine Pocket since 2019, these ambiguities gain clarity. The anime condenses extended internal monologues on Rintaro's alienation and gradual trust building, omitting scenes like the Kikyo girls' classroom results and envious distant glances between schools. Chapter 24's final pages, which humanize both sides and underscore mutual envy. The word, from Shoei, implied as a teasing nudge about affection, echoes manga's subtle humor in text exchanges, largely cut from chapter 27, emphasizing perceptive friendship over explicit drama. This adaptation streamlines for rhythm, turning potential haze into a focused storm. Have you ever felt a single phrase unravel your facade, revealing the vulnerability beneath? These blooming essences deepen like roots in storm-soaked soil, psyches charged with the lightning of past isolations, motivations flowering from seeds of quiet resilience. Rintaro's arc transforms with surprising agency, his hidden wounds of youthful exclusion yielding to proactive study and candid vulnerability, choices evolving from stoic deflection to grateful openness, dialogue a consistent rumble that surprises with its raw honesty. Karakoko's radiant empathy unfurls further, her motivations rooted in sisterly warmth, her influence a consistent beacon transformed by affirming the group's chaos. Sokka's analytical edge cracks into humorous humility, his teaching fumbles a surprising pivot from aloof intellect to relatable foil. Subaru blooms blooms socially, her requests for aid a transformative bridge from guarded to engaged. Eureka's nurturing sadism reveals deeper layers, his advice a consistent anchor that surprises in its empathetic depth. Choices crackle like lightning, transformative in their authenticity. Picture confessing your storms in a circle of allies, your voice thundering with theirs. What hidden spark would you nurture to weather your gales? Episode 10 doesn't merely drizzle. It deluges in the essence of youth's tempest, power in collective resilience against isolation's chill, morality in balancing duty with joy's pursuit, sacrifice as the quiet toll of vulnerability for connection's dawn. Self-acceptance manifests in characters' grapples. Study chaos as sacrament of support, candid exchanges as the rain that nourishes bonds, choices affirming that dignity thunders not in solitude, but in shared storms, evoking Camus defiance where embracing absurdity's gales yields meaning. It's the resonance of civil rights huddles in the downpour, tasted in the warmth of communal feasts. Must we voice our affections to transcend doubt, or does friendship's gentle rumble suffice? These probes embed like lightning scars, not as distant claps but as the shiver in a supportive glance, lingering to query. In your turbulent days, what bond dares to illuminate the dark? Subtle bolts enrich the rivalrous skyline. The diner as hearth of hybrid alliances, summer uniforms, navy hues, as symbols of seasonal shift, school divides as microcosms of societal tempests. Complicating the universe with cultural nods to Tokyo's east-west binaries, drawn from manga's vignettes of envious glances without overwhelming the intimate thunder. The script crackles with evocative spark, lines sharp as lightning forks, poetic in their unadorned thunder, clichés transmuted into resonant rumbles that foreshadow summer's clarity. Exchanges carry the gravity of wartime confidences, echoing post-credits like fading thunder. They invoke, each phrase a bolt. Would you bare your vulnerabilities to those who weather your storm? Art direction surges with stormy fluidity, rain-slicked streets evoking emotional torrents, symbolism in overcast grays yielding to diner golds for inner warmth. Lighting scatters shadows into prismatic gleams through windows, stillness in reflective pauses amplifying movement's buoyant chaos. Beauty signifies not veneer, but the iridescence of unveiled hearts, like Hokusai's waves curling into human tempests, etching impact with every droplet's descent. The lens prowls as atmospheric harbinger. Overhead sweeps over study frenzies mirroring communal swells, intimate frames fracturing into group rhythms to amplify bonding pulses. Editing's cadence a thunderous beat between humor and heart. It echoes your name's fateful downpours, each cut a clap aligning fates. Have you felt the camera's rumble, syncing your pulse to the gale's whisper? The OST descends as tempestuous muse, motifs of swelling strings haunting like approaching thunder, crescendos in revelatory bolts elevating warmth to cathartic roar. Silence in advisory moments speaks volumes, louder than squalls, motifs lingering like evaporating mists. CU channel essence through galvanic tremor, Rentaro's baritone rumbles. From stoic thunder to vulnerable crack, embodying affection's storm. Karakoko's lilt layers curiosity with tender depth, intensity a sunbeam piercing clouds. Sokka's edge infuses frustrated intellect, voices that pulse, as intimate as your own storm-muffled yearning. This episode didn't merely brew, it unleashed, a charged exhilaration in the chest from forged bonds, faint scars from isolation mingling with wonder's flash at supportive revelations. Pivotal illuminations, destinies clashing in emotional thunder, mark junctures where guarded selves crack, shifting skies with galvanic grace. I emerged electrified yet grounded, pondering the eternal gale. In youth's storms, does vulnerability's lightning forge unbreakable? The gale howls, mesmerizing, relentless, summoning you to the deluge, to embrace or forever evade the strike. Via reverse reading, one might echo complaints of pacing's drizzly drift as uneventful haze, the condensed revelations as rushed thunder eclipsing nuance. Yet reframe, this measured rumble is deliberate prelude, allowing themes of gradual growth to charge the air. Ambiguities, stylistic veils on life's unpredictable gales, foster empathy over resolution. Appreciation surges for relational authenticity, visual poetry. Critique gently for comedic splashes that occasionally dilute deeper rumbles. Episode 10 blooms with exquisite intensity, narrative bolts laced with heartfelt charge, artistic storms that bind soul to saga, though its tranquil undercurrents may mist for the lightning seekers. It succeeds radiantly, alchemizing manga's essence into an anime anthem of youthful tempests. Strengths resound, vulnerable illuminations, characters' galvanic arcs, a soundtrack that echoes eternally. Weaknesses, mere echoes in the downpour, and as the storm's ozone clings to your skin, petals quivering like unspoken affections. What yearning stirs in your gale? Will you voice the thunder, or let it dissipate unseen? Watching isn't refuge, it's reckoning. The deluge awakening your own fragrant horizon. The clouds converge, surrender, or forever wonder their roar. Have you ever held a fragile fragile creation in your hands, a loaf of bread baked in the dead of night, its crust cracking like the first fault lines of a heart laid bare, and wondered if this simple act could bridge the chasm between two souls adrift in their own silences? In the quiet alchemy of flour and fire, where the scent of vanilla curls like a lover's secret into the air, lies the terror and triumph of offering oneself without armor. This is the pulse of the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity Episode 11, A Morsel of Warmth, released on September 14, 2025, a pivotal bloom in the series' tender arc of rival hearts softening across schoolyard divides. As Rintaro and Karakoko's worlds inch closer, not with grand declarations, but with the hesitant grace of everyday miracles, it evokes those historical courtship rituals of old, like Victorian suitors pressing wildflowers into letters, each petal a promise whispered against the fear of rejection. Imagine yourself there, in the steam-kissed kitchen, the dough yielding under your palms like uncharted skin, your pulse sinking with the oven's low hum. What if this gesture, so small, unravels everything? The episode doesn't hand you answers. It bakes them into your bones, leaving you famished for the taste. Building from the simmering tensions of Episode 10's Summer Storm, where unspoken affections hung heavy as storm clouds over sunlit fields, this installment shifts the narrative like a gentle tide, pulling us from the raw edges of self-doubt into the deliberate craft of connection. Rintaro, our stoic sentinel from the Boys' Academy, grapples with the enigma of gifting. A store-bought trinket feels as hollow as a scripted apology, so he turns to the hearth of home, enlisting his father's weary hands in a clandestine baking odyssey. Across the divide, Karakoko's circle conspires and whispers, rescheduling celebrations to carve out a sacred sliver of time, her surprise blooming like cherry blossoms caught in an unexpected breeze. They converge not in fanfare, but in the hushed intimacy of a childhood playground, where swings creak like forgotten lullabies and the cake, imperfect, heartfelt, becomes a vessel for gratitudes too vast for words. Yet the episode veils its sweetest revelations in restraint, transitioning us toward horizons where these shared morsels hint at feasts yet to come. Picture it, the late afternoon sun gilding the frosting, your fingers brushing hers as the lid lifts, the air thick with unspoken what-ifs. Does this warmth endure beyond the bite, or does it melt into the evening's chill? The screen fades not on resolution, but on a lingering call, its echoes pulling you deeper into the unknown. Why this playground, of all places? What memory does it unearth in her, and yours? In a narrative that unfolds like rising dough, patient, insistent, transformative, Episode 11 advances the romance's core with the subtlety of a heartbeat quickening in the dark. No seismic twists shatter the frame, but revelations simmer. Rintaro's choice to craft rather than consume marks a quiet pivot from observer to architect of joy, while a rescheduled rendezvous unveils the invisible threads of friendship weaving fates together. Pacing masters the art of breath. Montage sequences compress weeks of toil into rhythmic vignettes, balancing the grind of practice with the exhale of payoff, never rushing the emotional yeast that makes it all ferment. Fans have puzzled over the cloudy aspects, like the abrupt lateness of their meeting or the understated family dynamics. Here, the anime clarifies with manga fidelity, adapting primarily Chapter 11, I Love You, from Saka Mikami's source, with echoes from Chapters 10 and 12. In the manga, Subaru's orchestration is a deliberate echo of Karakoko's guarded heart, her rescheduling not happenstance but a sacrificial bow to let vulnerability bloom, much like the original panel's emphasis on Rintaro's internal monologue, where each failed batch mirrors his fear of inadequacy. This adaptation honors the web novel's roots too, expanding Keiichiro's patisserie lore with unspoken generational wisdom, turning potential confusion into a tapestry of inherited tenderness. The cliffhanger, a phone line humming with praise, dangling the promise of reciprocity. Will his effort echo back, or demand more? Rintaro emerges not as the unflinching rival of early episodes, but a boy cracked open by care, his hidden wound, the isolation of his precise world, mending through flower-dusted vulnerability. Asking his father for guidance? It's transformative, a son's first step into emotional apprenticeship, consistent with his arc's slow thaw yet surprising in its raw plea, I want to make her smile. Karakoko, radiant yet restrained, reveals motivations rooted in reciprocity. Her joy isn't performative but a mirror to Rintaro's labor, her choices, choosing the playground, lingering on the call, signaling growth from passive recipient to active weaver of memories. Subaru, too, shines in sidelong glances, her meddling a balm for her own unspoken yearnings. Their dialogues pulse with authenticity. No grand speeches, but stutters and silences that feel like confessions overheard in a rainy cafe, reminiscent of those Austen heroines who betray worlds in a single arched brow. Beyond the saccharine surface, the episode probes the morality of sacrifice. Does love demand we burn our edges to sweeten another's day, as Rintaro does in the oven's glow, echoing the historical laborers who toiled in silence for familial feasts? Hope wrestles despair in every whisk. Karakoko's reflection on attire isn't vanity, but a philosophical dawning of self, questioning identity amid rivalries. These manifest not abstractly but viscerally. In the father's collapse from overwork, a stark reminder that survival's cost is often paid in unseen fatigue, much like the quiet heroes of wartime home fronts baking morale into rations. Power here is inverted, not dominance, but the gentle dominion of a handmade gift, urging us to ask, in our own lives, what small fire will we tend for another's dawn? Subtle expansions enrich the universe's patisserie undercurrents. Keiichiro's shop emerges as a cultural bastion, its rules of precision and passion complicating the school's rigid divides, infusing the story with the tactile lore of seasonal fruits and inherited recipes. It's a world where sweets aren't mere confections, but cultural sacraments, deepening the anime's Japanese high school tapestry without overwhelming the heart. The script is a masterclass in economy, sharp as a serrated knife, poetic in its pauses, never cliché yet resonant like a half-remembered folk tale. Lines like Rintaro's halting "thank you" for everything carry prophetic weight, foreshadowing cascades of mutual unveiling, lingering long after credits like the aftertaste of black tea on a winter's eve. Each word connects you there. The father's query, what message does this cake hold? It's not just patisserie, it's the Socratic prod of every parent at life's crossroads, pulling you into the steam, the sweat, the soul-searching. Why does her laughter over the phone crackle like static from a distant radio signal? The writing doesn't tell. It invites you to chase the frequency. Cloverworks animation breathes life into the mundane with ethereal precision. Baking sequences flow like a lover's dance, hands rolling batter in fluid arcs that capture the tremble of novice nerves, colors warming from cool blues of doubt to amber golds of resolve, shadows pooling in mixing bowls like unspoken regrets, each frame a symbolic hearth where dignity forges in fire. Beauty here isn't ornamental. It's the ache of effort made visible, the stillness of a cooling rack mirroring the hush before a kiss. Direction and cinematography amplify this intimacy. Low-angle shots peer up at Rintaro's furrowed brow like a supplicant's gaze, editing rhythms syncing with heartbeats. Quick cuts through training montages build tension like a pot nearing boil, then expansive playground pans exhale into serenity, mirroring the character's emotional unfurling. Its cinematography is empathy, angles tilting to catch the light in Karakoko's eyes, a subtle nod to those golden hour films where revelation hides in the ordinary. The soundtrack haunts like a half-forgotten melody, its OST a silent partner in the warmth. Gentle piano motifs swell during the whisking, evoking the tender ache of Claire de Lune in a modern kitchen, crescendos peaking in the call's hush before dissolving into silence that screams louder than any fanfare. No bombast, just motifs of rising notes that burn into memory, underscoring the theme of morsels as monuments. Voice acting elevates the ensemble to symphony. Yoshinori Nakayama's Rintaro quivers with restrained timbre, each line a tremor of the soul's quiet storm. Onoka Inoue's Karakoko lilts with ecstatic fragility, her laughter a cascade of bells that embodies unarmored delight. But Ryotaro Okayu as Keiichiro steals breaths, his gravelly warmth, laced with paternal fatigue, delivers guidance like aged whiskey, intensity cracking just enough to reveal a father's hidden devotion. It's not performance, it's possession, voices weaving the spell until you hear their echoes in your own midnight doubts. This episode didn't just warm me, it seared, a gentle scar from the realization that love's purest form is. Have you ever savored a gift that carried someone's sweat in its sweetness, evoking those Renaissance feasts where bread broke barriers between classes? Here, it sparks not just curiosity, but a philosophical itch. What if your next gesture rewrites the rivalries in your own life? The weight lingers, a philosophical echo. In a world of quick swipes and hollow likes, does dignity bloom only in the slow burn of the tried and true? Employing the reverse reading, one might decry the pacing's brevity. The rendezvous feels truncated, a tease rather than a feast, echoing fan murmurs of cheated time. Yet reframe it. This opacity is deliberate, a thematic mirror to life's interruptions, where full days together are luxuries, not entitlements, mirroring the manga's own restraint to heighten anticipation's edge. Complexity in family undercurrents could confound the uninitiated, but it's no flaw. Its invitation to savor the subtlety, much like a layered tort demanding patience. Appreciation outweighs critique. The episode's intimacy trumps any haste, its measured opacity a stylistic bow to the source's introspective soul. I didn't mind the brevity. It made the morsel all the more precious, though I personally ached for one more shared swing. Episode 11 triumphs in its artistic alchemy, narrative goals of deepening bonds achieved through heartfelt progression, technical finesse that turns domesticity divine, and emotional resonance that clings like sugar dust. Weaknesses, mere whispers against the roar of its warmth. The brief encounter a calculated crumb to whet appetites for more. It succeeds shines, gloriously, as both salve and spark, reminding us that dignity isn't in grandeur, but in the humble act of rising to meet another's quiet hunger. And now, as the oven door swings shut on this chapter, what warmth will you carry into your own divided days? Will you, too, knead the dough of doubt until it yields to delight, or let the timer tick unanswered? Watch, not because you must, but because in its glow your heart might just learn to bloom. The flower awaits. The dignity is yours to claim.